Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. First off, and I realize that I should probably do this all the time now because we're getting new subscribers and viewers all the time. I want to welcome all of the new people. It's great to have you here. Um, I always tell people that I have, I think, my opinion, right? I have the smartest commenters and obviously viewers in YouTube land. So if you're here, I imagine you're going to be one of them. I hope that you will contribute, and that means by comments and things like that, and that you'll enjoy it and get a lot out of it. I hear a bunch of thumping up there. If you hear thumping and then you hear voices, my oldest son and Kelly, my wife, are up there redoing our second son's bedroom. He's away at camp. He's coming back in a couple of days, and we are totally redoing his room to make it look logic, to kind of make it look like, and I'm not giving away anything because he won't be able to see this till he gets home, to kind of make it look like Big Cedar. If you guys are familiar with that, Big Cedar is our favorite home away from home. We go down there all the time. It's down on Table Rock, and we like lodgy stuff. So that's what they're doing. They're pounding. It's midnight here. It's midnight. It's still 90 degrees here. So I know that all you people out there in California and Hawaii with your perfect weather are jealous as can be. But, I have ways to mitigate that. So for the new people, again, welcome. I do put, and somebody said that I should start calling all of you all stone modders, except that I know that a lot of you wouldn't know what that means. That's for the people who have read my books. If you are interested in reading books about, survival and preparedness and SHTF and Teotihuacan and all that kind of stuff, I put the links down there. It's the Stone Mott series. So welcome to all you stone modders and others. Was there anything else I was going to say? And this is kind of the way I am. I don't write it out beforehand. I kind of sit here and just talk. I've gotten to enjoy talking with you all, and what I look forward to so much are the comments that come in, and you all bring a lot of information to me and to each other. I got called a codger by one of our valued viewers, and it was kind of funny. I never thought about myself being a codger, but it was funny. He said that younger people like him are now understand some of the things that old codgers like me say. And then he explained that he was being funny, but hey, if I'm a codger, at least young people are paying attention to me, so I'll take it. I guess that's about it. Patreon, if you're interested in more. Everything that I put on YouTube, I also put on the Patreon channel. I put more over there than I do here. I noticed that I'm wearing my Bloody Sunday t-shirt. Some of the things that I put over on Patreon that I don't put here, I'll be putting up a story about Bloody Sunday, not what you've heard from YouTube. But because there are lessons from Bloody Sunday and the hunger strikes in Ireland, that can apply to kind of what we can see in our future here. And I think that's all for the entry here. Things are coming our way fast. Everybody knows that. Faster and faster. There's so many things that, and I've said this before, that it's hard to keep track of. It's coming at a faster pace, and there's more of it. I don't keep track necessarily of all the little incidentals, because if you do, you'll drive yourself nuts. And that's what I want to talk about here, is maintaining your peace during, chaos, because it's very important. If you read the news, and I don't watch TV at all, and I don't listen to the radio. I check several. of the aggregator type websites, and then I'll go to some of the others. I get the main stories for to an extent. There for a long time, it was pretty much the same every day. Now It's about the same stuff, but it's a little bit different every day. Things are getting dicier. Things are becoming a lot more concerning. And 6 months ago, we would say, how much more concerning can they get? Well, they've gotten there, and they're going to continue to get there. At a furious pace from my perspective. Uh, Not only do we have a lot of people out of work, a lot of people who don't want to work, a lot of people who are waiting for their next government check, people who are not contributing to the system. We have a broken border by design. We have um, we have an inflated economy that's about to explode, in my opinion, and I don't mean explode to the better. I think it's about to collapse. And that is going to hurt so many people, and it's a shame because it is a uh, manufactured bubble, and it's going to be a manufactured collapse. It's going to hurt more people that are already hurting. We're coming up just tomorrow, I guess, as I'm shooting this on now, maybe in a couple of days. The end of the moratorium on rent and mortgage payments. People are going to start losing their houses, and the real estate market now is going to be the real estate market that has been exploding in value, and it's all been fake appreciation. Is going to start when you flood the market with millions of houses because they're being repossessed. Uh, it's going to ruin the real estate market. I know a lot of people have been depending on that. Anyway, I don't want to talk about the problems. What I want to talk about is the importance of keeping your head, because a lot of people are um, um, losing theirs. Remember that that line out of the If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, and then it goes on and blaming it on you. Now, it doesn't really apply. But if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, that's what I want to talk about. Any professional, the difference between a professional at anything and someone who is less than a professional is how cool they are under pressure, how they keep their head, that they see uh, things through a clear eye. They concentrate on the solutions as opposed to just the problems. You have to recognize the problem. But if you just concentrate on the problem, that's all you see, and you're not able to free your mind to concentrate on the solution. I gave a couple of scriptural references the other night, and this is not a religious channel, but I think the best, and nor is this going to be a religious video, uh, but the best example of this is, and all you Christians will be familiar with a major part of this. Anybody who's not a Christian may be familiar with the story, maybe not. But I'll give you the highlights because it's one of the most important lessons, I think, that we have in front of us right now. It's the story of the time that Christ walked on water. And the scriptures tell us that he had been preaching. And then at the end of the day, he told his disciples to go ahead and get on their boat and travel across the sea. I believe it was the Sea of Galilee. I could be wrong on this, so, uh, it doesn't matter. Uh, and he stayed there to pray. The Bible tells us that the disciples went out into the sea. They were out there for quite a while, making their way across the sea. And during the night, a storm came up, and it awakened the disciples. And you can imagine, the fear in them, the middle of the sea, and the wind is raging, and the lightning is, and the thunder is crashing, and the waves are, it's just chaos. And they were in fear for their lives. All of a sudden they look out and they see Jesus walking towards them across the waves. Now, immediately they didn't recognize that it was he. They thought it was a ghost. But then they realized that it was. And and then Peter, it says, told him, he says, if it is you, then call me to you. And there's a dispute there that they say that word if did not express doubt. It was more like since it is you, or because it is you, or whatever. And he said, it's you, call me out to you. And so Jesus said, okay, come. And so Peter stepped out of the boat and started walking towards Jesus. And then it says he noticed, you know, because up until then his focus was on Jesus. And then he noticed the waves and the storm around him and immediately began to sink until Jesus reached out his hand and took him, and then they walked back to the boat. Well, you can't get a better lesson than that on the importance of keeping your focus on the solution and not the problem. You know, I'm sure we've all been in situations that the problems just, you know, they surrounded us. They whether they were small or whether they seemed insurmountable, anything that takes us a little bit off of our game consumes our mind. We look at the problem. We worry about the problem. You know, have you ever noticed that when you're anxious or when you're worried at night? Have you ever been kept up at night with worries? I have. I mean, it was been many, many years ago, but I remember. And the reason that we worry so much at night is because we're not doing anything about it. You know, the human mind, can only focus really well on one thing at a time. And I know there's all those people that are going to say, well, I'm a great multitasker. Well, no. You know, most of the time people who multitask can do a lot of different things, but they don't do each one to the best. And our mind will really just focus on one thing at a time. Multitaskers are kind of bouncing around, and we're all that. I'm not cracking on people who, you know, are multitaskers, but when you're doing that, you're not focused on more than one thing. You're focused on one thing, bouncing back and forth, one thing to another, to another, to another. Okay, and if you can remain organized, then you know you can get a lot done. But you know, the reason that we worry at night is because we're not doing anything to solve the problem. And have you ever noticed that when you get up the next morning, you know, often sleep deprived, you get up the next morning and you start being able, now you can do things to address the problem. All of a sudden you're not worried so much anymore, right? That's because when we start addressing the problem or looking at the solutions, it takes our mind off the problem. Now, I'm not saying stick your head in the sand. We've got a lot of problems coming our way, and I think that they're getting bigger. This is not a Pollyanna type of video here. They're going to get bigger. They're going to get horrible. They really are. They are going to, I think horrible things are going to happen. And every concern that people have raised, and you all can itemize what those are. Every concern, I think, is going to be brought to fruition here. We are going to have to deal with things we've never had to deal with before. And some of them are going to be, I'm not even sure exactly how to term it. But they're going to threaten our country. They're going to threaten the foundation of our society and our culture. And you can't get much more, you know, threatening than that. But if we're going to be able to deal with it and respond to it, we have to deal with it with clarity and with a peaceful spirit. That's the most important thing. You know, like I referred to before. If you have ever been in a situation, I'll use police work for instance. You know, the new recruit right out of the academy is all excited, and he wants to do everything right. And when he gets the first time that he rolls in, and the first few times usually, first few times that he rolls into a dangerous or a chaotic situation, well, he's bouncing, or she, he's in my day, bouncing all over the place, not really getting his mind focused on what needed to be done. And you look over at the old guys, the old salts, and they're just doing things exactly how they ought to be done. Military is the same way, EMS is the same way, all these things. That is the clarity. Once you have kind of experienced things for a while, you settle down and you stop responding to the unimportant chaos that is clouding your view. You understand what is chaos, you understand what's real, what needs to be done, and what's really, just noise. And a lot of people now, I know, are addicted to the noise. And that's fairly common in the preparedness circles, because there are certainly out there people who deal in noise and people who are addicted to the noise. So I guess they serve each other in that. But the noise, keeps you from hearing what's really going on. And if you're concentrating too much on the problems, you're not thinking about the solutions. I see that a lot in people that I talk to, in that, 6 months ago, a year ago, there's our nightly street racer, but he didn't sound like a bumblebee. A year ago, 6 months ago, they were saying, "This is terrible. What are we going to do? This is, they're making all these, just going bonkers." And today they're doing the same thing. They have not progressed anywhere beyond that. They haven't formed a plan, because apparently their plan is simply to complain and try to get other people to agree with them that things are terrible and they're even going to get worse. Well, okay, if things are terrible, then it's important to have a plan to deal with it, right? And if things are going to get worse, then it's even more important to have a plan to deal with it. But without a peaceful core, you're not going to be able to do that. Yeah, I think things are going to get terrible. They're going to be horrible. We do have, looks like some bug just went in front of the camera. And we have no way of knowing what's going to happen. But we do know this, that the more we are reliant on other systems, and the more we're reliant on organizations or the government or anybody beyond ourselves, well, the more we are under their power. The less we're able to determine our own fate. That's why preparedness is so important. That's why being self-sufficient and self-reliant is so important. So that when bad things happen, they're not going to affect you like they're going to affect people who are not prepared. It's kind of like seeing a storm coming. Here in Kansas and every place else. Every place thinks they've got the greatest sunsets and the greatest sunrise and the most amazing storms and everything like that. Well, I live in Kansas, so I'll talk about Kansas. But, when you see a storm coming out there, you can see it coming. And it kind of brings people together. They hear it on the news. You know how people love weather? They're so enamored with listening to the weather. And when there's a storm coming, everybody kind of comes together and they start talking about it. It gives them a feeling of being in a group, kind of a cozy feeling, right? And then the storm gets closer and closer, and everybody's watching and talking about it. And this is going to be horrible. This is going to be terrible. And then it finally gets there, and still everybody is, oh my gosh, this is lousy. And then it just gets to set into raining. And raining. And raining. And raining. And raining. And people just start getting depressed. Because it's one thing, it's kind of exciting to be in your house or in a building and see the storm coming, and you're around a whole lot of other people that are kind of talking it up, and you're talking to each other up. Never noticed how people are actually kind of giddy when a storm's coming. But then it comes time to where now you just have to continue living your life, and it's raining. and it just keeps raining. And you got to walk to your car, and you got to go someplace, and you got to come home. You got to get out of your car, and you got to walk. You got to do things. Everything that you do, is harder when it's raining, right? And after a while, you just get worn out of it. And that's kind of what's happening here. People just getting worn out because, a year and a half ago, everybody was kind of pulled together with this, oh man, this is going to happen. We got to get, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're not going to do this, whatever. They kind of, beefing each other up with the talk. And now it's just been raining for a long time and people are starting to get kind of down. You can't let that happen. And you can't get anxious and you can't get frantic and you can't let yourself be affected emotionally or mentally by the storm that's whirling around you. You have to be dealing from a core of peace. You have to, first off, I hope that you are prepared. I want to say something about this now, is that if you're just beginning prepping right now, just begin. We all began, right? I know a guy who started by getting extra ketchup packets at McDonald's. I'll tell that story sometime. But we were all beginners sometime. So don't think, if you're just getting into this, that it's too late. Now is the time to do it, okay? And do it methodically. I'll probably make another one about beginning preppers here I'll try to remember in the next week or so. But you cannot allow yourself to be mentally churned up with all these things to the extent that you're not engaged in the solutions. And a peaceful spirit is the most important part of that, in my opinion. It will not only help you, it will help the people around you. And when you really start taking a look at things, at problems, at so-called problems, you can look at them as problems or concerns or challenges or whatever, I tell my kids, every problem is just an opportunity for a solution. And it builds your ability to find solutions and implement solutions. So, if you can do it like that, I suggest you look at it like that. It's going to lift a great burden from your shoulders and from your mind, and it's going to let you see it more clearly and see this really as the challenge and the great opportunity that it is. And I've said this before, that Churchill made the statement in one of his speeches when Britain was under attack. He said, these are not dark days, these are great days, because these are the days that allow us to show what we're made of. And that's true. We may have some challenges ahead. We may have some real problems ahead. But we're going to be able to find solutions to those problems if we keep our heads, stay focused, and really concentrate on coming out the other side of this better than we were before. And whether that's possible or not depends entirely on whether you believe it is for you in your life. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there, but I encourage all of you, take a step back. It doesn't mean prep less. As a matter of fact, I said the other night, prep 10 times harder than you have before. Okay, but that's what should give you the peace. So remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And that one of the first steps is making sure that our most important tool and weapon, our mind, is running clear. So you all be at peace. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.